At least $247 billion of taxpayer money was wasted in 2022.
There's no real accountability from the government to the customers, the American people. And so no one should be surprised that the government is horrible customer service, that it wastes resources, that it steals your resources, that it does stupid and wasteful things from them.
Meanwhile, 54% of Americans today believe their federal income taxes are too high. Yet, the United States is one of the least taxed among the developed nations. Tax revenue in America accounts for a little more than a quarter of the country's GDP, compared to an average of 34.11% among developed countries.
Particularly compared to other Western European democracies where people have the same standard of living as we do, our taxes are really relatively low.
Taxes are a matter of perception. It's a matter of how people feel about it and the value that they feel they're getting for the taxes that they pay.
Only about 20%, really more like 18% or so, of government spending is actually on what most people would say they think government does.
In the private sector, if somebody is doing something, they see what they're trying to do or sell and then determine how to do it and then how much it will cost. Federal government, everything is go spend the money. That doesn't work, go spend more money.
So why do taxes feel so high in the United States? And why does so much of it get wasted? Billions of taxpayer dollars go wasted every year. Take improper payments, for example, which cost the US $247 billion in 2022. These refer to payments that were made incorrectly by the government. Over the last 2 decades, the US government has lost almost $2.4 trillion in payment errors.
An improper payment can be both an overpayment and an underpayment. An overpayment may be fraudulent, going to the wrong person, going to someone who's ineligible, going literally to someone who's deceased.
You ask most people, how much money do you lose in a day, a month, a year, something like that? And they would say, none of it, right? I know what I'm spending my money on, right? Maybe on occasion somebody drops a dollar bill, but the government has just lost, as if you dropped on the sidewalk, trillions and trillions of dollars over the last few decades. And that is money that was stolen from hardworking Americans to just simply get wasted.
But that's not all. Oversight reports from nonprofits and senators like Rand Paul claim that billions of dollars are being wasted every year. From spending $1.7 billion maintaining empty government buildings, to accidentally investing $28 million on forest camouflage uniforms to be used in the deserts of Afghanistan. Duplicated programs are another concern.
The Government Accountability Office every year issues a report on duplicative and overlapping programs. And every year they find more of these programs. For example, everyone should be connected to broadband, at least everybody who wants to be connected. Yet, in the federal government, the Government Accountability Office found 133 broadband programs across 15 federal agencies. Just one example of the duplication and overlap among many programs throughout the federal government. And the federal government spent $42 billion over a 3-year period, and people are still not connected.
Experts say the problem mainly stems from the way our government tries to solve an issue.
In the private sector, if somebody is doing something, they see what they're trying to do or sell and then determine how to do it and then how much it will cost. Federal government, everything is go spend the money. That doesn't work, go spend more money.
The way that our systems work is that we didn't thoughtfully do anything. The way that our programs are done is it's one Band-Aid thrown on top of another. Somebody got into office and said, I want to have a grant program that's named after me. So none of these are really designed to work with each other. None of them are designed to respect each other.
Federal spending has risen over 20% since 2019, adjusted for inflation. The federal government reported $1.38 trillion in federal budget deficit in 2022. That same year, the national debt hit almost $31 trillion for the first time in history.
As the government spends, as it runs up a deficit and a debt that is now America's second mortgage, that is now $250,000 per household, what happens is it's sucking all the oxygen out of the room. It's destroying investment. It's mortgaging our futures. It's slowing our growth today. The inflation you're seeing is a large result of that.
Taxes have also never felt more unfair in the US.
First of all, the top has ballooned. There's just so many more people who are really, really, really rich than we ever had. And secondly, the numbers of ways that they can get out of paying taxes has also increased. So it's not so much that their rate is bad, it's that they don't pay that rate. And that really makes people mad.
I absolutely dismiss those kind of claims that the wealthy aren't paying their fair share. I mean, first of all, they're paying the overwhelming majority of the taxes that are paid in this country.
According to most recent available data, the top 1% of earners paid more than 42% of federal personal income tax in the United States.
That's true. They do pay billions and billions of dollars in taxes. That's because they're rich. They have money to tax. The bottom of the income distribution doesn't pay many taxes at all because they don't have much money to get taxed on.
A 2021 analysis from the White House revealed that the wealthiest 400 billionaires pay an average tax rate of 8.2%, a much lower rate compared to average working Americans. Additionally, Americans feel they aren't seeing enough visible returns for how much they pay. While the US does enjoy lower taxes compared to other developed countries, citizens pay extra for many services. Out-of-pocket health spending per capita in the US in 2019 was $1,235, compared to just $687 average for OECD members. The US pays a higher average tuition fee for a bachelor's degree compared to most other developing countries for both public and independent private institutions.
Most of our taxes go to Social Security and Medicare. Look at your pay stubs. That's where your taxes are going. We finance in part our own retirement and our own old age medical care throughout our lifetimes, from the time we get that first teenage job to the time we get our first job and on. And other countries don't do that. They build that into the tax structure. Other countries just say you're going to have this amount of pension, you're going to have this amount of health care and education, and they pay higher taxes, but they get more for it.
COVID-19 especially brought the U.S. government's wasteful spending to attention.
In March of 2020, the United States struggled to respond to growing threats presented by COVID-19. With the economy on the brink of collapse, Congress passed a series of bills intended to both fund the public health response and keep the economy afloat. But with massive government spending comes opportunity for waste, fraud, and abuse. Unfortunately, Democrats conducted little oversight of the over $2 trillion spent under the CARES Act.
The sad answer is we don't know actually exactly how much got wasted. The estimates are hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, if not frankly trillions, in the kind of 3-year period we're talking about. But a lot of that is there was this rush to get money out the door, and so they were using structures that were never very good. They were designed for much, much smaller volumes of money going through them. There was no accountability put in place. There was no priority to put in systems so that even retroactively we could figure out where the waste and the fraud and the abuse was.
It's the job of the Government Accountability Office, or GAO, to audit and report any wasteful spending by the federal government.
It'll look at a particular agency and it'll say, okay, this agency seems to be understaffed, not doing a very good job. It seems to have a lot of errors. If it's giving out money, it seems to have a high error rate. It'll point to management problems in the government with the hopes, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't, with the hopes that Congress or the executive branch will then take action to try to fix the government. I think they have enough power. I don't think they have enough manpower or resources.
One of the few areas where Citizens Against Government Waste thinks more money should be spent is on the Government Accountability Office and the offices of Inspectors General, because they do provide a good return on the quote-unquote investment, the amount of money that's being provided for them. I think in some cases $7 or $8 for every dollar spent in terms of recovering or preventing wasteful spending.
In general, accountability over spending is severely lacking in the U.S. government.
There's no real penalty for misspending money or not looking at how it's being spent, because the answer is go create another program.
The real problem here is that Congress doesn't put its feet down and says in a new piece of legislation, we demand that there's some real accountability. Congress doesn't hold their feet to the fire and ensure that these processes are put in place, that they're well managed, that they're well resourced.
Some suggest simply shrinking the federal government's responsibility.
If you want to cut the federal government, there is a way to do it. Stop doing things, okay? Just don't do those things anymore. Give them to the states, privatize them, whatever. Just don't do them anymore.
Almost everything else that the federal government does is intended to help someone with a particular problem. In many cases, that can be done through the private sector, or it can be done a lot more efficiently if someone could just figure out how much does it really cost to help those 500 people that need somewhere to live, rather than saying we're going to spend $800,000 to buy them a condo, which has happened, by the way. So it's not a matter of not trying to get something done, it's just doing it the wrong way.
Experts say government efficiency is an essential issue that the Congress must put more effort into solving.
Congress is the entity that's supposed to be able to say, I've got this report, we know where the waste is, we're going to do better, we owe it to the American people to be better, and Congress does nothing with it. And that's really the problem here. There's nothing you can do to make up for Congress not doing their job. At the end of the day, what's going to need to happen is Congress to do their job, to take that good information, to fix systems, to change the laws, to go after this waste, to make a real effort to respect the American people by focusing on that.